Namaste. Welcome to Satsang from Yasodhara Ashram. I'll be hosting Satsang this evening. My name is Swami Sivananda. I'm a resident here. What you see behind me is Kootenay Lake and the mountains behind the lake. We're located in southeastern British Columbia, just north of the Canada-US border. And the nearest town is Nelson. So you could perhaps find that on a map. So welcome to the Temple of Light and to our Satsang for today. We begin Satsang with an invocation of the light. So the light is symbolic of that essence, that divine essence that we all share. And I have candles here. This candle comes from in front of the photograph of Swami Radhananda. She is my teacher and my friend. She was the spiritual director and the president of the ashram for over 20 years during my stay here. And so I'd like to dedicate the satsang this evening especially to her in recognition of all that she's contributed in helping us all move forward on the path of light. So this is Arti, which is the celebration of that light. And if you would like, as you're watching this, to simply visualize a candle in front of you and then slowly put both your hands over the light, and you can touch each one of your sense perceptions and ask that all your sense perceptions be purified by divine light. So we experience the world through our senses, and so we're asking that the senses give us all the information possible, and so that our minds can truly experience the fact that we are all one in the light. So may all our sense perceptions be purified by divine light. May divine light burn away all selfish desires so that we may know we are one with the light. The next part of satsang is chanting a mantra. So when we come together in satsang every day as a community, it's one way that we can come together and offer back something that will benefit others as well as ourselves. So we're chanting for our prayer list here, for everyone in need, for all centers of light around the world. And tonight we'll be chanting Om Namah Shivaya. And Shiva, in this context, is the remover of obstacles. He's depicted here, and I'll say more about that later. So it's Om Namah Shivaya. So if you prepare yourself for chanting the mantra, finding a comfortable sitting position, elongating up through your spine, relaxing your shoulders, your neck and your face, particularly relaxing your jaw. To begin, simply focus on your breathing, and even inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation and exhalation. And we'll begin chanting together, Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya.
The theme for what I'd like to speak to in this satsang is awareness. And it's a huge topic, I know, and I'm speaking because more recently I've come to see how important that is. And I'll tell a story in a moment of an interaction I had with Swami Radha, which was many years ago, but it really began the process of me thinking more deeply about what awareness is. It's one of those things that one of those words or ideas that we often just brush by. We think we know what that is and then just move on to the next thing. And that was certainly the case for me. But I've come to see, and I'm sure anybody who studied yoga for any length of time has come to see how central awareness is to the practice of yoga. As we bring more quality into our day, and as we begin to understand better our place in the world, awareness is what leads us, or lack of awareness is what slows us down or prevents progress. So in yogic practices, from hatha yoga to meditation, reflection, all these different practices, in one way or another, help orient us to expanding our awareness so that things don't become mechanical, that we begin to appreciate our place in the world in a greater way. And I mean this not intellectually, but experientially. So when we read, for example, in a text, a yogi saying, well, we're all one, and then we repeat that, do we really have that experience, or are we just repeating an idea? And as our awareness expands, we begin to understand what these great yogis have been saying, and our teachers are leading us towards. So yogic texts are laced with this idea of expanding and deepening our awareness. And I brought along an image here of Shiva. So this is Shiva dancing in a ring of fire, Nataraja. And if you notice, he's dancing on this little tiny figure down here. And that figure, avidya, is generally acknowledged as ignorance. But it's not ignorance in the way we use that word in the West. It's ignorance as a lack of awareness. So avidya is that lack of wisdom or lack of awareness that causes us so much difficulty. And then symbolized here is this destructive power of Shiva, of the remover of obstacles. And it's illustrating that point of moving away from lack of awareness to a place of greater awareness. And he dances, and that ought to be a message on how we do it ourselves. It's not a Grim Reaper kind of thing. It's a joyful dance, because every step to become more aware is a victory, no matter how small that might be. Now let me tell you a little story. This goes back many years. In the mid-1980s, I was traveling a great deal with Swami Radha. She was giving lectures in Western Canada, seminars, workshops, Western Canada, and down into California. And at that time, I was her driver and also her assistant in whatever way she needed that. And we were coming home from a workshop near San Francisco. And I was driving, and I was asking her things about the workshop, things that I was curious about, because it intrigued me that she was responding to some of the things happening in the workshops in ways that were quite unexpected to me. And so I was, in one way or another, asking her, like, how did you know that? Or what were you doing there? And I don't remember the specifics, but at one point, I even surprised myself. She was explaining something, and I said to her, well, that's easy for you. You've had all these great spiritual experiences, the ones I had read about in her book, and that she had talked about with her guru and others. I said, you've had all those experiences, but I've had none of that, implying that she had an advantage that I didn't have. And I kind of surprised myself because it was a little bit of a raw comment. And anyway, I said that. It's easier for you, and I don't have those experiences. And there was a long silence as we continued to drive down the freeway. And then she said, no, it's just that you're not paying attention. It's just that you're not paying attention. That surprised me. And I mentally was wondering, what does that mean? I thought I was being fairly diligent. I was reflecting daily. I was doing, not extensive, but I was doing steady practices. So there was something here I still didn't understand. And we kept driving, and after a little while, I asked her, I said, I don't understand. Can you give me an example? And she did. And here's what she said. She said, you know, I've been working with you on your dreams over the last month as we've been traveling. I've been in workshops with you, and she gave specific examples of dreams, which I remembered. Now, these weren't dreams of great flashes of insight, or they were quite ordinary dreams in many cases. Now, I took from that a number of things. Right away, I began to see that paying attention was much more than I thought in a conventional sense of those words. There was something in the way I was trying to bring things together that was lacking or not acknowledging the intelligence of my own experience. The second thing was, and I got to this because it's something she often said, is very difficult or completely inappropriate on the spiritual path. And that was, unknowingly, I would have to say, I was comparing myself to her. And that's a trap, of course, any kind of comparison. And that began a process of me wondering more and more what's behind my reactions, or what's behind the way I think, and orienting that in a way that is almost invisible to me. And it changed over the years. More recently, I've been wondering about expectations that I'm unaware of, that orient my thinking, ideas of who I am, even ideas of what I know or think I know, and then hold to that in the face of things suggesting that it might be otherwise. So it's been a very fruitful kind of exploration and of expanding my awareness so that it becomes, awareness becomes a kind of opening of opportunity and a receptivity, not intellectually, but more of a heartfelt welcoming and dropping those things as much as possible that obstruct that open, heartfelt welcoming. I could see fairly soon after she gave me those examples how I had assumed interpretations, for example, in the dreams, that were very helpful, and then I stopped. But it was only really the beginning, inviting me to go past that immediate understanding to something much more. Swami Radha's thoughts trying to encourage us out of this kind of routine thinking, she would say things like, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am light, light eternal, divine light. But does my awareness really encompass that? Do I know that from my own experience? And if not, what can I do to step into that awareness? How can I remove this kind of obstacle, this lack of awareness, the ignorance that holds me trapped in this idea that I am the body, I am the mind? But what if I was aware enough day to day to actually know that that's true? To know it from the depths of my being, that I am created by divine light, that I'm sustained, protected, surrounded, and that my daily activities are helping me in every way possible to grow into divine light. That kind of awareness is what we're inviting through a practice like that, and through the daily reflections we do. I'm seeing that it is possible to get closer to that ideal, those ideals, and to become the kind of person I really want to be. Or as Swami Radha said, you've been given everything you need. You have all the tools. It's all there for you. Use the tools. Claim your birthright. And know who you really are. It's inspiring. Expanding awareness. Namaste.
Alana
Namaste again. This next part of Satsang is Prasad. And it's a way to remember, consciously remember, all that we've been given and evoke a feeling of gratitude for everything that's given during a day. I remember Swami Sivananda saying it's not that we're so bad, it's just that we forget. And so any opportunity to remember and any ritual that helps us remember is very valuable so we don't forget. So take a moment, think back over your day. Think of something that you're grateful for. Something, a message that was delivered through someone else, an understanding you came to, family, friends, teachers. And sometimes we can appreciate even difficult things, things that have initially been even a little bit upsetting. And then looking at it differently, in retrospect, see that that was a helpful reminder in itself, or an impetus to grow. So hold your hands in front of you, cupped hands, to bring to your mind being receptive to the things from the day, and place one thing in the cups of your hands that you're particularly grateful for. Visualize that. And in your own way, bring it towards your heart so that it becomes a heartfelt gratitude. And placing your hands together in Namaste. The divine in me salutes the divine in you. Namaste. Thank you for being part of this satsang. We're very happy to be able to offer these online satsangs during this time. It's given us a very inspiring focus for what is otherwise a lockdown period. So it's a time for us to come closer as a community here at the ashram and find new ways that we can share the experience of the ashram with a wider community. Our teachers around the world, the people around the world who have been to the ashram and keep in touch with us. So this is our way to reach out to you and say thank you. And Om Namah Shivaya.
Whence do they come here? Whither do they flit away? When my dream is done, when my dream is done, she will lift Shiva.